Bey.
It's
So, first off, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Well, I'm CP Bey, Moorish American National. I've been teaching and sharing the true points of history, the true points of what's going on with behind the scene with politics, things like that, for the past 2 years now. I've been researching this personally for the past 4. What's going on with CP right now, what needs to be said is waking up our generation, waking up the dead part, the dormant part of our minds, which is the ignorance due to the miseducation. So that's what CP does. That's what CP is all about. CP stands for the chief principle, which is the chief principle of life, which is love. So I model myself after love, and throughout this interview, I'm sure people will be able to see that.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about. I know we talk about Elevation Room, and of course, I'm a part of Elevation Room, but just for the people, the listeners that have no clue what the hell Elevation Room is, or what Elevation Room is, get them a little bit, like a brief introduction about Elevation Room and how it's created.
It's simple. So Elevation Room is just a free place for free thinkers. It's not one of those places where you can't speak your mind. Doesn't matter your religion, your age, your background. You want to play that game? Race. All that doesn't. It's one of those places where all we deal with is truth. Truth that can be cross-referenced. Truth that can be put up for public record so it can be scrutinized in a professional or respectful manner. This is Elevation Room in essence, a place where people come together and we try to solve problems. The only way we can solve problems is to put our differences to the side, because we really have more alike than we do in what we differ. So Elevation Room is just a beautiful place. It's not really a room, as in we're in a room right now. This room has limitations, right? It's a ceiling, it's a wall. You can't really. Elevation Room has no restrictions. No topic is off topics. It's just one of those places, again, where free thinkers can gather and share their thoughts. And one thing we touch on in particular right now, what needs to be highlighted, is nationality. And that's one thing I'm going to continue to echo in this interview, because that's what needs to be talked about. Yes.
Right. Tell us a little bit about, just give us a little bit about nationality. What is, for a new Moor or a new person, melanated brother or sister, what is, correcting status or nationality? Because we're hearing it more often now that we are in the age of Aquarius. We're hearing it more often.
Of course.
What is this?
So simply, the people have been, due again to the miseducation, and this generation is ongoing, have been classifying themselves as crayons. Seriously. Black is white. These are, and you think about it, even if you think about a rainbow, those two colors aren't in that spectrum. So anyway, the people have been playing a race game, which is part of the sociology that comes out of Germany. Many of these famous ideas about race and what race is, critical race theory, things like that, don't apply to how we should be conducting ourselves. So I need to get that part out of the way. People have nationalities. Nationalities tie you to a landmass. Okay? African American is 2 different landmasses, because you have Africa, continent, America, continent. That doesn't denote you to be a part of either one. There's confusion. That's a contradiction. No different from people want to play this sovereign citizen game, which is getting a lot of people in trouble. Seriously. I'm not going to throw out no names because we're not here to bash nobody, but all people got to do is go on YouTube and see people playing that sovereign citizen game, and these so-called policy enforcers are snatching their ass out of their vehicles. With no, and this is the key, with nationality, with no protection. Because if you don't have a nationality, you have no protection. This is why these people who have been branded Negro, Black, Nigger, African American, whatever you want to call yourself, these people have civil rights. They don't have human rights. We need to know that there's a distinction. Most people don't know that there's a distinction. And there's a problem with that.
It goes back to it's in their documentation. This is nothing that, we have made up. This is nothing that, CP, you decided to write in a book. This is all in their documentation.
Yeah.
We got the Articles of
Association.
We have the Declaration of Independence and the Articles of Confederation.
Yes.
And
then the Constitution.
All of these things.
Treaty of Peace and Friendship.
Yeah. What you want to call it? They got all these degrees and Yale. I went to Yale. I went to Harvard, and still can't read.
Right.
Like, let's talk about that. Like, the miseducation period before we can even talk about the Articles of Association and all these documentations, because it makes no sense to even pick up the documents if you don't even know how to read it.
Yeah. Yeah. How can we discuss what's going on the moon when we don't know what's going on right here on our block? It's one of those type of things, if I can get that reference. So reading. And I had somebody kind of challenge me, I won't say her name. She came into our elevation room and she kind of challenged me on a point that her family is educated. And she gave out what school, and it was one of those prestigious schools, if I name it out, like Harvard, but it's not that, but it's on the same level. My parents went to this and my parents went to that, and you're not going to tell me I'm miseducated. Fine. I have no problem with that. I'm not here to argue with you. I take my teacher hat off. I'm not here to try to impress anybody. You put the teacher hat, that's what I did to her. You put the teacher hat on. You be teacher. I have a question as a student. Let's put you in the mindset. You're in the classroom full of students. You're the teacher. I have a question, an honest question. What does the word black mean? I asked her this. I let her kind of take the stage of Clubhouse, elevation room. And the moderators who helped me control the room, I kind of felt that energy, like, why is he letting, and she was a Caucasian. She was a paleoist, Albion, whatever you want to call him. Don't call him white. I kind of felt the energy, like, why is CP letting her do this? But it was a setup to see how educated she really is. So again, I asked her again, please read the definition of black. She goes and whatever, I think she went online on her phone, and she goes to read the definition of black. But before she even starts reading it, she says this. She says, well, it depends on what social group you're already looking at it from, because black can be a part of the color spectrum. And then she starts going down the line like that. And I said, no, wait a minute. Hold on. We got a problem. I'm a student. I don't even bash her. I could have bashed her on that. I said, I'm a student. We're going to reset. I'm just asking you to read the definition of black. I don't need your interpretation. I don't need how your grandmama felt, how your mama. I don't need none of that. Read it to us as a class. You just said you're educated. You just name off all type of colleges and degrees you got, and you got plaques on the wall, and daddy did this, and he owns 14 Walmarts and all this stuff. Let's see the education. Read the definition of black. So she starts it again, and she says, black. And then she goes straight into what's called the linear entry, what the word means. She does a classic mistake. And this is why I know the answer is kind of long, but this is an example of poor reading skills, and they need to be highlighted. She goes past the brackets. Put the word in its proper matrix. Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective? But that's proper reading. For me to tell somebody the definition of black and skip past the part that is an adjective, that means I'm trying to trap you in some type of way. It's some type of scheme that I got against you that I'm going to benefit from. I had to highlight that to her. And so in short, she fell on her face in front of the whole room. She ended up leaving shortly afterwards because it was shown that you claim you know how to read. You claim you're educated. You got all these degrees, but you don't even know how to read a simple definition. And we think it's subtle to skip past that. Like, why is that so important to say it's a noun and it's an adjective? CP, why are you so strict? That's how you getting caught in all these loopholes and all these legalities, these legal fictions, because we skipping all of these things that they have become masters of. And it's not a secret. Our people don't know how to read.